Okay, for my final, I will be showing you how to sew handmade masks. So for time's sake, I've already cut out my piece of fabric. It is 16 along one side and then 7.5 along the shorter side. Before you do this, you are going to want to wash your fabric, especially if it's tie-dye one like this, so that it doesn't, the colors don't bleed into your other clothes when you wash it later on, and also so that it does not shrink if you wash it later. Okay, first thing you're going to do is you are going to fold it face to face. So because this one is the same on both sides, it doesn't really matter. But if you had a fabric like this where one side is clearly the front and the back, you would want to fold it front to front, like this. And then this is the fold side, and then these are the two ends together. And you're going to want to sew down the ends like this, about 1/4 inch from the edge. So as you can see here, I have my side with the two cut edges together, and it's about, well, it's about 1/4 inch away from the edge. And before you sew all the way down, you're going to want to do a few stitches forward and back just to hold the thread in place and keep it from unraveling. Okay, I finished sewing this first seam down the side like I showed you, and as you can see here, my edges, they aren't perfect. It doesn't really matter because you're not going to see this when the mask is finished. It's just kind of to keep the two pieces of fabric from sliding around. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fold it inside out. So now if this had been a fabric that wasn't the same on both sides, you would have the nice side, the face of the fabric facing outward now. And here's my seam. It's invisible now, as you can see, because we folded it. And what you're going to want to do next is get your ruler, and you're going to measure and mark down the side. It's going to be 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, an inch, and another 1.5 inches. So I'll show you that in a second. Okay, next we will be doing our marks down the side. This is going to be for the creases of the mask. So get your ruler. Put the end, you're going to want to start measuring from the folded side, not the seam side. And you're going to just put it down here. I'm just using a normal ballpoint pen. It doesn't really matter because you won't see it later. So you're going to go 1.5 inches, make your mark, 1.5, 1 inch, and 1.5. And now you're going to do the same to the other side. 1.5, 1.5, 1, 1.5. Okay. Ideally, you would have ironed this beforehand just so that it's a nice straight crease on this side, but I don't have one on me, so it'll be fine. It's as long as it's approximate, it's gonna work out just fine. And then you're gonna get your pins. Again, this is the side with the fold, and this is the side with the seam. You're gonna take this mark and bring it to the second one. Fold it like this, mark to mark. Take your pin and pin it down like this. And you've got start of your fold right there. And then you're going to take the third mark and bring it to the fourth, like this. You've got your second pleat right there. Okay. Now we've got one side down. I'm going to rotate it, do the same thing to the second side. First line to the second. Pull it tight. And pin it down. And then third mark to the fourth. This might be a little bit hard to see here because it's blue pen on blue fabric, but you'll get the idea. Okay. pin it down. There we go. Now we've got 2 pleats. Next, you will take your ruler again, and you will measure from the seam side, you will measure 7/8 of an inch. Sorry, not from the seam side, from the pleat, you will measure 7/8 of an inch over. Take your pen, mark it. Same thing to the other side. Here's your pleat. 7/8 of an inch over from your pleat. Mark it. And then we're going to do the same thing where we fold this line to the edge of this pleat. Like that. You've got a little pinch like this now. Pin it in place. Same thing to the other side, this line to the edge of the pleat. And pin it in place. Okay. What we're going to do next is we are going to sew straight down the side, about 1/4 inch from the edge again, just like your first seam was. It doesn't have to be a nice edge on this side because we'll cut it off and trim it so it looks nice later. And yeah, 1 down each side. Okay, so as you can see, I've sewed down both sides. This is going to be the back of the mask. This is the front. This is the top and the bottom. Next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your strap. So this is the base of the mask. Our end product will look like this. I have not ironed this one, so it's a little bit wrinkly, but you get the idea. The straps that I make for my masks are made out of t-shirt material so that they're nice and stretchy. They go all the way around the head, around the top, and around the bottom, and then tie in the back. And I personally like it this way better because the stretch and the way that the mask is tied means that it can fit anybody, and you can have it just as tight or as loose as you want it to be. So that's what we'll do next. Next we'll cut out our stretchy straps. They're going to be about 1 inch or so wide. Just enough so that you can fold it over the front and the back so that you get a nice clean look. Because I've run out of t-shirt material, I will just be using just a normal piece of fabric just for the sake of showing you how to do it. Obviously we're going to want the front of the mask to look nicer than the back of it, so make sure it's flipped over so that the full pleat, this one right here, is facing up. You're going to want to take your strap or piece of fabric or whatever you're using, and you're going to want to flip it over so that the face side of the fabric is down towards the top of the mask. And you're going to line it up with the edge here, and you're going to do a seam right down the side just like you did right here. Make sure that it's far enough away from the edge so that it will cover up this one, because what we're going to do is it's going to get sewn down like this, and then we're going to fold it over so that you've got a nice clean line right here. Okay, so I've gone in, I've sewed down the side here. Again, this is the top of the mask with the full pleat, and the face side of the fabric is down, because what we're going to do now is we're going to flip it over like this, and as you can see here, we've got a nice clean seam, and it looks very nice from the top or from the front of the mask. Then what you're going to do is you're going to keep folding it over, and you're going to fold it over the edge of the mask like so, like this, and we're going to sew again. This is the back of the mask now. We flipped it over the side, and we're going to sew again down the side here. I forgot to mention, you're going to want to try and make your strap that you're using wide enough so that you can fold it once and then again, just so that you get a nice side of it along the back as well. I mean, it doesn't matter that much because you won't be able to see it because it will be against your face, but this way it doesn't have just a raw edge just on the back of it. Okay, there we go. I've sewed down the back of it. Now all you need to do is trim your extra threads here. 1, 2. I only did one side because I only had enough fabric for one strap, but this is how it should look in the end. A nice clean seam, fold it over here to the back of it, and you do the same thing to the other side, and then you're done. Again, the end result should look like this. I would iron it down when you're done just so you have the nice clean lines, but I do not have an iron with me, so cannot do that at the moment. And there you go. That is how you make a quarantine mask. Again, just a disclaimer, this will not do much to protect you. Don't get a mask or make a mask and just immediately think that you are completely safe. Always proceed with caution when you're going outside, even when you do have a mask. That's it. I hope this was helpful.